and go. Perfect. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Green Room episode. We're so excited to have a special guest, somebody that's near and dear to my heart, a good friend of mine, Kevin, the Katalyst Carroll here. For those of you who are rocking with us for the very first time, the Green Room is a place where we have conversations that talk about how our guests have made space for themselves in a particular industry or area of subject matter expertise, and then talk about just the journey and the path so that you, as a watcher or a listener or a viewer of this, is able to navigate and not step in the potholes that him and I have stepped in, or not slip on the banana peels that we've stepped in or slipped on. So that's the whole point of this Green Room conversation, to have a fluid, nice and easy conversation. Think like auntie's house after church on a Sunday afternoon, just chilling, talking and sharing some gems and best practices and ideas. So with that, Kevin, you want to open it up and just say hi to the people, give a quick intro of yourself?
What's going on? What's going on? Green Room viewers, attendees, Kevin Carroll, friend of B. Middleton from the way back machine. We've known each other quite a long time. We were trying to assess it. We know it's over a dozen years. So I think one of the things that I love about my journey is relationships have always mattered to me. And so I really maintain relationships, and it was out of necessity from my childhood and not having a traditional family setting and having to build community and family and cobble it together in as clever and creative way as I could. So relationships have always mattered to me. Belonging has always been an important thing to me. Books, ball, and betterment is my thing. And, I think that, each and every one of us has an opportunity to learn something every day, right? But you got to be willing to show up and be curious. And so I hope that our conversation is enlightening, inspiring, invigorating, right? And catalytic. So let's go.
That's the word, catalytic, man. So maybe the first thing, I'm from Chicago. Where are you from, Kevin? Just give us a sense of how you grew up, where you grew up, and, where are you now?
So I'm from Philly. And, our slogan is, I'm not angry, I'm from Philly. That's how that works, right? So,
Yeah.
so yes, I grew up in Philadelphia, greater Philadelphia area, in the city. My grandparents raised me and my two brothers. Both my parents were addicts, and they made a decision to not raise their boys, and my grandparents stepped in. And one of the things that I had to figure out really quickly was, how was I going to form a family? Because my grandparents were older. They did the best they could, but they weren't going to be able to stay behind three little boys. And so I cobbled together a community of people who were encouragers, from the playground, the public library, my best friend's mom, and school. And so those were four of my main places that helped me form that. And growing up in Philadelphia and growing up where we did, which is the Main Line. So people need to understand the Main Line, very wealthy area in Pennsylvania and on the East Coast. And when I was growing up, 1/3 of the nation's wealth was located there.
Wow.
So we lived in day help houses, and day help houses were actually created for the laborers who would go work on the estates all along the Main Line. So there was literally train tracks that separated day help houses to the wealthy. So my grandfather bought one of those homes after World War II, raised his family there, and then we got brought into that neighborhood. And so it was literally a square block across the tracks, and everybody was a laborer. But the kids got to go to this public school that was basically a private school. It was well-resourced, and I was one of 50 kids of color out of 2,500 from 10th to 12th grade. So there was not much diversity at all. And they based what your life was going to be on your zip code and address. So when they saw your zip code and address, oh, you're from that neighborhood, you're going to be a laborer. And you had to advocate for yourself for college prep. And I learned that from my best friend's mom, Miss Lane, who taught me that you got to speak up. A closed mouth don't get fed.
Yeah.
So I learned that really early, to advocate for myself. Got college prep instead of going VOTech, laborer, track, which was what they were expecting me to do. And I excelled at school, but I also excelled at sports. And I loved sports, and I loved playing sports, but it was never for trophies, medals, or first place. It was always for belonging. It was always for being a part of a team. And so sports was a big part. My academics was a big part. But also, I always tell people I wasn't an angel. I wasn't this perfect kid. I
You
had
weren't?
grimy friends. I had grimy friends, dude. So, and everybody has a role in their neighborhood. So my role was the lookout.
Yeah.
So when we were going to go do some dirt, Kev, you down? We need to look out. Okay, okay. But I made a conscious decision. If it was going to ever get in the way of me playing sports, I wasn't down that day. And
Yeah.
you had to always play. You had to practice the day before a game.
Mm-hmm.
That happened to be one of those amazing moments in my life, Brandon, because I didn't go with my friends. They were going to do some dirt.
Mm-hmm.
I told them I had to be at practice. Why aren't you going to practice? They're on the team too.
Yeah.
They don't come to practice that day. I go to practice. They break into some cars. They come to the back of our house trying to stash it. I said, no, my grandfather said, okay, we'll see you tomorrow. I close the door. I turn my back and there's gunfire. Pat, 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 pat. I find out later, my friends had gotten an altercation with some cops. They had hit a cop and they were running. And they were trying to hide. They all got caught up and they went to juvie. Fast forward, I get a letter from one of my friends from Graterford Prison, which is a maximum security prison in Pennsylvania. He's seeing me on TV with the 76ers.
Wow.
I'm the head athletic trainer with the Sixers. And he's watching from prison me working. And he writes a letter to me from prison and says, hey, Kev, I saw you on TV. That's so amazing what you've done. Yeah, I'm in prison, my third bid, drug dealing. Remember that day? You made a decision that changed your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think these are the things that we realize in our youth, that those butterfly effect, the repercussions, the ripple effect, whatever way you want to look at it, but choices, your choices, your choices, your choices. And I think that's something that we will always be living with, are the choices that we make, the people that we rally around us, right? And most importantly, what are you getting out of bed for? What gets you out of bed? What do you stand for and why? And I think those are things that I've discovered, right? Book, ball, and betterment are my three things that I stand for. And I know why, because it goes back to my childhood, right? That playground, the public library, Miss Lane, and school and sports.
Wow. I mean, I remember when I first met you, you mentioned how important the playground was. And like, I always had this Fresh Prince sound, on the playground is where I spent most of my day. Like, literally every time I see your picture, I think of like the first time I met you is when I thought those two things like will always stay in my mind whenever I think of Kevin Carroll. So I appreciate that background.
Yeah, I'm living in Portland now. So I've, the journey, that's my backstory, but all the things that played out of it, dude, there's no way anybody ever predicted all that stuff. There's just no way, right? From that humble beginning to, the journey that I ended up having because of the choices and decisions, and also knowing what got me out of bed. Come on, man. I mean, I could have never envisioned what I'm doing right now, where I'm at in my life. There's just no way. And how the social workers basically saw us and told my grandparents, don't expect much.
Yeah, that's another thing. A lot of people who are, tuning into this, and even the concept of community college, this class that we're teaching, I tell people, like, if you take the word community, for a lot of Black and brown people and minorities, it means a lot. There's a backstory there, strong connotation. When you think of college, that's what your parents probably had you striving for so that you could do better in your generation than they were able to do in theirs. But then somehow when you put like community and college together, it becomes this like diminished kind of stepping stone in order to get to something higher. And with the class that we're doing, we're trying to like reclaim community college. So we named our course that. And, this is for everybody who's been prescribed community college because somebody didn't believe in your dream, for that social worker who didn't think you were going to be anything, or like your life wouldn't amount to much based on your circumstance. These conversations and the class that we're having is trying to, again, reclaim some of that narrative and like show, how beautiful some of us kids from, the underdog status have turned out. And that backstory and your story is so beautiful in that it weaves kind of together like that.
Yeah, yeah. And I've spent a lot of time around community college environments here in Portland. I've done work with PCC here, Portland Community College, and Philadelphia Community College. And even more so, just understanding the value. I've actually spoken to leaders from the community college organization at large nationally. And, things have changed a lot, right? The cost of schooling has just skyrocketed, right? And the accessible place is community college.
Mm-hmm.
That is more than just an entry point, right? It's a bridge to possibilities. And so I love the fact that community college, you've named it this, that community colleges are being elevated more and out of necessity, because you don't want to stop your education. You might not be able to afford a 4-year college yet.
Yeah.
But the community college have really raised their games. Like they really have. I've been so impressed with what they're doing. And even more so when the economy went sideways, you look at the pandemic, where is the value?
Yep.
The education value? It's at community colleges.
Yeah.
And it is local. It typically is not that far away from where you live.
Yep.
And they know how to work with students who are discovering what they're going to chase. And I think that's what's really powerful about the community college, ecosystem, if you will. I just love what they're doing. I think that they've been able to pivot much faster than a lot of 4-year schools because they know they're about the community.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what does the community need? Let's make our pivot. Let's do what we need to do to offer them, because we don't want to deter people from continuing their education post high school. We want to encourage them. And so I love that you named, the program Community College, and it is about that. It's about, community and elevating others, right? Through education, right? Collegial. And, the whole idea of being collegial, right, is being connected, right? The notorious RBG talked about being collegial too, just FYI. If y'all didn't know, that was her whole thing with Anton, right? Right? With her and her buddy, right? Anton Scolari, right? Is that how you say his last name, right? Scalia, right? They were cool because she said, I want to be collegial with you.
Yep.
So I think there's something really beautiful about that.
Yeah, we don't always have to see eye to eye. We don't all have the same story, but there's a fundamental respect that I'm choosing to give to each one, no matter what, so that we can have dialogue.
He put it beautifully. We are different. We are one.
Yeah.
We are different. We are one.
Wow. So, for everybody watching, I'm hoping that you're gleaning a little bit of something to, put into your back pocket and take with you as you kind of move away from this video. But Kevin, I know you have some trinkets and some things that you wanted to show off. We could either save it for later, like in the segment, or I can have you pop it out right now and just give.
No, we can wait. That was a good teaser though. See, that's a good, that'll keep them. That's a cliffhanger. Like, wait, what does he have, right? So that'll keep them hanging on and wanting to know. I know that you want to get to like my journey and how I ended up out in Portland and all that. So we can fill in those gaps, and then I'll start dropping some of them pearls and some of that eye candy.
Yeah, you mentioned the you mentioned the 76ers already. You mentioned a little bit of like growing up in Philadelphia and how school was important and you did well and you played sports for belonging more than anything. Take us through like, okay, after elementary school, after high school, like talk about the crossroads and like some of the decisions that you had to make and how it helped you to, navigate from that part of your life onwards.
When I finished high school and I played soccer and basketball and ran track all through, I ended up getting an opportunity to play soccer in college in Tennessee at Tennessee Wesleyan, and played there for 3 years, became a young dad. I come back, my grandfather says, you need to do the right thing. These are his values.
Yep.
So shotgun wedding. I'm 20, she's 18. We have a child. Now my grandfather's looking at me like, so what are you going to do? I'm like, I got to get a job. So at first I was working at a little toy store, right? Still had a little bit of my grimy attitude. So I was the Black Santa for the neighborhood and stuff. I'm taking orders. Come on, dude. I'm taking orders, right? I got my little side hustle. I'm taking orders for families and stuff during the holidays and breaking people off, right? So Black Santa. And then I woke up one morning and I said, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I was in college and I'm falling into the pattern of everybody in the neighborhood, getting over, getting
Yep.
high, and repeat
Yep.
and go to work. And I'm like, this isn't me. So I got up one Monday morning, didn't tell anybody, took the trolley into the city, and I
Mm-hmm.
went to the military recruiting station.
Hmm.
I said, I got to get out of here. So walked past every branch, went to the Air Force because my uncle was in the Air Force,
Mm-hmm.
take the test, score super high on that ASVAB test.
Yep.
And they say, hey, you got a choice of any kind of roles you want. I'm like, well, I don't know. Tell me what I should do. They said, well, if you want to go right away, you can be a security policeman. I'm like, okay, I'll take it. They
Yeah.
said, but they're probably going to give you other tests when you're in the military, right, in basic training to see if you got other gifts. Lo and behold, they give me other tests. I have a language ability.
Hmm.
Now, I dropped Spanish after 5 minutes in high school, right? Still remember it, B. Eso
Well,
está en casa, no en la cocina. ¿Dónde está? En la sala, no en la cocina, right? And I dropped out of class. So
wow.
I had an ability. I
Mhm.
had a hidden talent. The military identified it. I go to Monterey to the language school. I end up learning Serbian, Croatian, Czech, and German. And I was a language translator in the military for 10 years. So I had a top secret clearance. I worked at NSA. I was Black Jason Bourne back then, dude. I was doing my thing. Yes. And lived in Germany, played soccer over in Germany, and got an opportunity to do a lot of things and see the world. Brought my family with me. And I was thinking I'm going to stay in the military 20 plus years. And I hurt my knee, stopped playing soccer. And I get really intrigued by what the physical therapist and the orthopedic surgeon are saying around me. And my curiosity once again kicks in. I'm like, well, hey, are there any jobs like that just with athletes and sports?
Yeah.
And they said, yeah, athletic training. I'm like, I think I'm going to study that.
Mm-hmm.
I end up studying that. I get my undergraduate degree in athletic training. I get a graduate degree in health education. I work at the high school level back in Philly, the college level at St. Joe's University in Philly, and then I get the head athletic trainer job for the Sixers. I'm only the third Black trainer in the history of the NBA in 1995.
Wow. How did you so you talked about that Monday. Was it just that you came to yourself? Like, I'm thinking about like the prodigal son in the Bible. He's just like, you know what? I came from my father's house and I could be doing a lot better than. Was it an actual event or was it something inside that was just like, this is enough? I got to do something different.
I think it was just I was reflecting on the pattern I was starting to fall into and what I was doing. And I was at college taking AP English classes, right? And I had left school because I had my son and I need, you know, so I'm thinking I need to do the right thing, take care of these things. So I came home and I'm like, this is not me.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't what my grandparents have as an expectation for me. Miss Lane, my best friend's mom, but you know, I would just be doing enough and getting by and getting over.
Yeah.
And I said, I have more in me. And one of the things that I tell everybody about my neighborhood is the worst drug we had in our neighborhood was apathy. Apathy. People just, this is as good as it's going to get. And I just had this, I had already seen other things. And I said, no, it can be better than this. And so that's what really, I think, was the catalyst that sparked me to go and make a change, that I got to change this. And that's what I ended up doing, was going. So I think it was a combination of those two things, seeing my future and also feeling stirred that I know I can do better because I've seen better and I've been around better.
That's cool, man. So then you're in this new kind of realm. You've got a superpower in kind of health and physical training and language. And maybe at the end, I'll have people, you know, you got to talk some German. You got to say some Czech things, because normal people, I think they underestimate what Black people's superpowers.
Yeah, black folks ain't supposed to know that. Black folks ain't supposed to know that, right? They ain't supposed. But it's also a superpower because I can be listening in and you don't expect me to know, and I'll drop a little like "Dobry den, jak se máš," right, and walk away, and they'll be like. So those are fun moments too, and that's happened in lots of hotels and stuff. But my languages actually ended up coming in handy when I was with the 76ers,
Mm-hmm.
I was asked to insult a basketball player in his native language, Vlade Divac, to insult him in Serbian in the middle of a game to distract him so that my coach could come up with a better defense and not use the timeouts. So when I was with the Sixers, I was there at Allen Iverson his rookie year. So I was on the bench when he crossed Jordan twice and hit that jumper. I was on the bench that night. I was there with Jerry Stackhouse, a host of other players. But this altercation really kind of set in motion a whole nother series of serendipitous events. So I cuss him out, right? Because we learn all these obscenities in Serbian, right, while we're at school. That was like one of the bonuses of your education was you have 1 week of all obscenities and they teach you every bad word and phrase in the language. So that was fun. So I knew what to say to him. So I'm telling basically your mama jokes, right? And insults in Serbian, and he stops in the middle of the game and walks towards our bench asking who's insulting my family in Serbian. And the coach points to me and he goes, yeah, right. I go, Dobar dan, kako se vi gospodine? And he's like, what? What? This black dude is speaking Serbian to me and he sounds
Little
like he's
Kevin,
from my neighborhood.
Big Vlade, right?
7 feet tall, dude.
Yeah.
7 feet tall, and me on a good day 5'7". So right, so I'm vertically challenged compared to that dude. And the crazy thing was, the game ends. He comes looking for me in our locker room because he's intrigued.
Yeah.
And he comes up to me and he looks at me and he goes, "Hey, never thought I'd meet a you. The Yugoslavian national basketball team just qualified for the '96 Olympic Games in Atlanta. We're looking for a sports medicine liaison and a translator. You're perfect." And so I end up traveling with the Yugoslavian national basketball team for all their pre-Olympic tour for the '96 games. They get the silver. They lose to the U.S. They get the silver, and they send me a thank you note, right, and some other things. But what was really an outcome from that, NBA Inside Stuff did a special feature about me, and someone from Nike saw it. And I got a phone call out of the blue from Nike. They wanted to hire me away from the Sixers because they saw my gifts and talents and how they could actually use that in the sports industry on the business side of the games.
Wow. So for the young folks watching this who don't know anything about the greatness of Inside Stuff,
That's right.
Rashad, like
Google it.
Y'all gotta like go back into the YouTube crates. I'm sure they've got some footage.
Oh yeah, they got some of my Rashad, Hannah Storm. Yeah, they both came and interviewed me. It was crazy.
That's nice, man. So then, so going from the league and making the transition from an environment that's, I guess it was pseudo corporate, but this is more like sports and entertainment. That's not corporate America. So like talk about going from that environment over to Nike, which is more corporate, and any corporate space that I think a black or brown person steps in, you're probably not the majority. So just give us a sense of what that transition was like, and as it pertains to like making space for yourself and making space for others, like how did that look at Nike?
I think it was really interesting that the people who surrounded me, once again, I'll go back to what I said at the very beginning, relationships. So there's always been a lot of people who, I got you, Kevin, I got you. Yeah. Right. And it didn't matter their color. So Howard White, who's an executive at Nike, and Jordan Brand. Howard is actually the person who recruited Michael Jordan to Nike. He befriended me and became one of my mentors and allies and encouragers. Peter Rupi, who's white, was another individual who identified my gifts and talents well before anyone else, before I even saw them. Yeah. And he was the one who basically made the offer to me at the request of Howard White. So when I arrived there, they got me. So I sit down with them and they say, so look, here's my advice to you. Take the first 60 to 90 days. Introduce yourself to as many people as possible. Listen more than you speak.
Bars.
Listen more than you speak.
Yep.
Take in the information, the language, the words, right? Man, all these things, right? And then figure out where you fit in, but also how you can flex your gifts and talents.
Yeah.
And that's what I discovered, right? Is that before it became a thing, DE&I and all these other things that you're hearing now, they were already telling me, show up as you.
Yeah.
and let people know what it is you have to offer. If it's clear and you are consistent, people will take you at who you are,
Mm.
right? And they will respond in kind. Because if you're adding value, especially in a corporate setting,
Yep.
that's undeniable. And what is the bottom line they care about? Stacking that money.
That's
So if
right.
you can help them do that, they're going to see you as you are and accept you as you are. That's my point of view, like my whole journey and the advice that I got from them. And it has served me well. And I spent 7 years at Nike. I got to create my own role. I was the creative catalyst at Nike, and Phil Knight, who was the CEO and chairman and co-founder of Nike, called me the mayor of Nike. He said,
Mm.
I might be CEO and chairman, but Kevin, you the mayor here. Like, you know this place, you know the people. And what I was really doing was just recreating Preston Playground in my neighborhood,
Yeah.
being a bridge builder, connecting with people, relationship builder. What's your story? Why are you here? Hey, you need to meet this person. And
Yeah.
I was all about, if you shine, I shine.
Yep.
If you shine, I shine. So I don't have to chase it because you're going to advocate for me. And that was my whole approach at Nike for 7 years. And I got an opportunity to work all over the company, from shipping and receiving and food services up to the C-suite.
Wow. So for anybody watching that's like, what's my superpower that the employer or the person on the other side of a job might care about? I think I'm hearing like you can feel comfortable to bring 100% of yourself, which is something that we all probably struggle with. All of the things that make you you, even if you don't see them as super valuable, if you can be gracious enough to yourself to be able to put them out there, over time, those things will maybe turn out to be like the biggest strengths as opposed to what you look like on paper or what you've, studied in your school or anything like that. I
What you
found,
look like in
yep,
person,
yeah,
right? Because you want it to be an undeniable truth, what you're bringing to the table. And
yeah,
so how are you working on your craft? How are you improving yourself? I always talk about, you need to be treating yourself like those apps on your phone.
hmm,
You're the greatest app ever created.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? You're the greatest app ever created. And so you need to be in beta, staying in beta, just like those apps on your phone. You're so quick to update those. They give you these bug fixes and all that. You need to be fixing your bugs,
yes,
right? Improving and updating you. So how do you stay in that beginner's mindset, that lifelong learner, right? That forever curious person, right? That I'm always constantly working on my craft, mastery, mastery, mastery. I think that's so important. And, one of the things that I tell people, and it's okay if I share one like little thing real quick.
let's do it.
So 2020 has been hard for me.
Yeah,
So I've known Kobe since he was 13. I was his athletic trainer all through high school.
hmm,
He's from Philly.
yep,
So I knew his father. And so I watched him go from a zero to what he is, because
yeah,
he was nothing impressive, nothing that you would be, oh my God, he's like these preternatural skills and
yeah,
he's definitely going to. No, he worked his ass off to
hmm,
get there. And as I started to understand what gaining mastery is about, I saw the Mamba mentality get created. His first summer in Philly, he
hmm.
didn't score a single point in summer league basketball.
Wow.
They shut him down. They came at him like nobody's business. The kids from Philly did.
Hmm.
Oh, you jelly bean, son? We gonna show you.
Yeah,
And they worked him over that summer, and that started flipping the mechanism for him.
yeah,
And so now you look at someone who was all about excellence,
hmm,
right? And showing up. We all had the capacity to do that, but what was he really about was always improving, always getting better, no matter what the craft was. We all know what he did in the NBA. Look what he did when he left,
yeah,
right? So it was always about excellence. And that's really what I encourage everyone to think about. What's your excellence? And how are you consistently working on that and getting better, staying in beta, always improving? So look at yourself like an app.
yeah. You
And
got to
you
be,
need to be, did I update myself today?
Yeah,
Did I
every
do
day. Like
something to
the
get better?
apps that go too long without being updated, you like,
What happens?
what is the team behind this doing? Are they still gonna be in business? Like what's happening here? So I think that's a true gem. Like, don't be afraid to be honest with yourself and say, hey, I have a long way to go to get to where I want to get to. And then also to just, like you said, daily, hourly, minute by minute, how can I get better with it so that I can quantify, yep, the journey that I'm on, acknowledge my progress, but then say, hey, back to the gym, back to the
Look,
drawing board every
yeah,
single day.
my grandfather would say you a zero trying to be a one every day. Start
Yeah.
of every morning,
Yeah.
right? You see the light of day. That's a good start to the day. He said you a zero trying to be a one. You need to check your want to.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do anything with a broke want to. Do you want to be better? Do you want to be unique? Do you want to make your ideas, your dreams real? So my grandfather would always say, check your want to every morning,
Yeah.
right? You can't do anything with a broke want to.
Mm.
You can't turn any idea into reality. So don't talk about it, be about it. What are
Yeah.
you? Are you somebody running your mouth or are you about that action?
Beast mode, shout out.
Come on now.
And I mean, you mentioned H. White. I think I have his book on my shelf, Believe to
Believe
Achieve.
to achieve?
Yeah, man. I met him
Come on, man.
a little while ago, and he said something really similar when we got to talk. And it's so refreshing to hear that other people in leadership positions humble themselves daily. So, like, you might see them on the big screen or see them out there, but to know the backstory makes them accessible and relatable for you as somebody who's trying to get there. The fact that there's no way around it. You have to work. You have to get better. You have to like bump your head and fail a little bit in order to be able to rise and elevate and elevate and elevate.
You know that there's a beautiful quote by Samuel Beckett: ever tried, ever failed, no matter. Try again, fail better.
Yeah.
And
No.
that's what it should be, fail forward, right? You're
Yeah.
going to skin your knees. You're going to stumble. But does that derail your journey,
Mm-hmm.
your opportunities? Or is that, something that, hey, that was just a bump, right? Is that an obstacle or an opportunity? Because there are going to be moments where you're up against it.
Yep.
And the one thing I always say is doubt is success testing you.
I like that.
Dude, I'm dropping them,
Yeah.
right? You need to be paying attention, right? B, this is what happens when you and I get together, right? Doubt is success testing you. Community college, viewers, green room, viewers.
Beautiful.
Doubt's going to show up. It is your competition. It's the foe. It's the opponent.
Yeah.
And they want to win, and they take, look, lots of L's, right? They getting lots of W's. Doubt's getting lots of W's every day.
Yep.
So you got to come with it, right? And you grade yourself at the end of each day. Go or no go. Did I do something to get closer to manifesting my hope, my dream, my aspiration into reality?
Yeah, especially now.
And yes.
Things are changing so fast. We're all locked up in the house. So everything is shifting underneath everybody's feet right now. So I think that you need to be able to analyze yourself, not be too hard on yourself, but don't be afraid to challenge. I mean, your muscles don't grow unless they're put under extreme pressure and tension, right? So in that same way, I mean, you literally have to.
That principle. So you done messed around and got into my human performance world.
Let's go.
Specific adaptations to impose demands. SAID. You will get stronger, faster, better at whatever it is you're working on based on the imposed demands, the pressure you put on yourself. But if you put too much, you will crumble underneath that. You put too little, you're never really growing. You have to find the right amount.
Yeah.
You have to apply some stress to you, to your dreams, to your goals, right? That's what it's about.
Yeah. And to talk about to your, community, to get back to that, like the brain has a response, the fight or flight, right? So if you're putting so much pressure on yourself or setting a high expectation, I think you yourself will tell you, no, this is too much. Let me stop. But the powerful thing about your community is the fact that your mom or your cousin or your friend can be like, no, you can go past what you think yourself capable of and go past that with the community. So that saying of of going far together versus going fast by yourself. I always think about that, like every single day here at work and with family and things like that. So the power of community, super important from that aspect as well.
Oh, absolutely. You can't do it alone, and you need people who are not just gassing you up,
Yep.
that they're actually holding you accountable. Yo, what's going on with that? Oh, you him and hard. You built for that.
Yep.
Streets are watching. Let's go.
Yep.
Because someone's looking up to you. And I always remind, doesn't matter where you're at in your journey, you just graduated from high school, you're in the professional world, you're in college. Someone is looking up to you, and you're a symbol of success. You've actually achieved something.
Yep.
So your niece or nephew, your cousin, right? They're looking up to you if they're in grade school and you just graduated high school. That's an achievement.
Yeah.
So if you think you haven't done anything, I'm here to remind you, those successes, what you think are small, someone is impressed by that. So someone's watching, and they're also watching when you give up. And if they admire you, then they'll think, well, I'm never going to get anything. And this is how it perpetuates.
Yeah.
So if you know that someone's watching, the streets are always watching, and you got people holding you accountable, you can make anything real.
Yeah.
You can turn ideas into reality. And that's the equation, is you need people who are holding you accountable, not just gassing you up. All right. Victim versus fighter, right? That's the thing, like you're saying, right? You have to choose every day. Am I a victim of my circumstances, the situation I'm in? Look at the pandemic.
Yep.
Or am I a fighter that I'm going to raise my game and I'm going to lean into this and I'm going to find a way because I'm built for this?
Yeah. I mean, and people are, I mean, you mentioned the generation underneath you looking at us, but I also, I mean, I studied engineering and didn't have so much time to study my own history, but like I'm big into like reading about our past as, Black people. And I think a lot about, ancestors and people who've gone on before us also
Elders.
looking at me and having expectations because they realize that it's easier and more achievable nowadays than it was in the 50s and 60s, or that it was in the 10s and 20s, or that it was in the 1800s. So that's a responsibility that I feel I have. So when I want to quit, I'm like, nah, I just can't, because too many people have shed too many tears and too much blood and too much sweat in order for me to stop right now. So get up and let's do it again.
Honestly, right? There's, we're standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's real, right? People have come before us to pave the way for our opportunities. We're doing that now, right? And we're doing it for generations behind us, but people have done it for us. Yeah. And so why would we in any way diminish that effort that they did by not doing the best we could?
Yep.
I mean, that would be basically telling them what you did doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But they put in that effort and energy and time, right, and commitment to make it better for us. Yeah. And each generation, that is the responsibility. And so I think we owe it to them. Like you said, right? We owe it to them to do our level best, right? To do the best we can. And each and every day, grade yourself out. Film don't lie, right? Film don't lie. So you, so you can say, oh yeah, let's look at the film. Let's see what you did today, man. You spent a lot of time on that game. Mm-hmm. You was playing a lot of EA Sports, right? NBA 2K, right? And you talk about you want to get to the league, but you playing on a game. You ain't out there working on your craft.
Exactly.
So don't be surprised, because guess what? You're competing with other people.
Yeah. Everybody.
Look, we sitting here having this conversation. And we're talking about it. Other people are listening to someone else, getting encouragement, insights, knowledge, and they're going for something too. You're competing. So you got to know what your competitive advantage is. You got to show up ready to compete, because there are opponents out there that want to derail you, who want to take what you want. And you got to be ready to compete.
Yeah. So we took a little bit of a tangent. We're going to come back. So you're at Nike. But then I met you as like a motivational speaker and like a, um, you know, you've been the Catalyst for a while, but like take us through kind of the next phase of Kevin Carroll after the Nike years.
So when I left Nike in 2004, and it was not easy because I loved my job, was
Mhm.
really enjoying it, was thriving, and I had these other opportunities to write some books, to do public speaking, and I sat down with Phil Knight and Howard, and they both said the same thing, but Phil Knight put it really profoundly. He said, "Look, I don't tell talent to leave here. You'll be the third person I tell they should go.
Mm,
It would be selfish to keep you. You've got bigger work to do."
wow.
And so with that blessing from Phil Knight and from H, I left in 2004. I've been on my own for 16 years now. As an
Wow.
author, a speaker, instigator of inspiration. You met me a couple years after I had just left from Nike, and I've been doing that work and writing books and raising my voice and inspiring the next generation of leaders, makers, doers, and dreamers. And that's what I've been doing for 16 years now. And I mean, a plethora of projects and all kinds of things that I've been, really blessed to get a chance to be a part of, to support, to collaborate on. And it's just been amazing. But it's been 16 years that I've been on my own, doing my own thing. So Kevin Carroll Katalyst, LLC, KC Katalyst, if you want to
Yeah.
shorten it, was launched in 2004, and it's been going strong for 16 years.
Wow. Salute for that. And I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs and like future entrepreneurs who are going to watch this as well. Um, that's so inspirational. There's a bunch of stuff that we probably don't have time to get into around new business formation and like how are the early years and how to be pivoted as, 2008, the economy dipped. COVID right now, like you've had to probably do a whole bunch in order to deliver to the market what they wanted while giving your gifts and your talents kind of their due as well. So,
I
um,
think I think B actually what's been consistent with me is I bet on myself and I bet on my gifts and talents. And
yeah,
I just trust and believe there's going to be need for it. And
yeah,
I actually elevated and amplified what I was doing even more.
mm,
So that was my decision versus what is the economy, what is the market looking for,
yeah,
and be something for that. No, I'm going to continue to do me,
hmm,
trust and believe that there is a need for what I'm sharing,
yeah,
and there's a economy, there is a market out there for it, and that
yeah,
consistency I think has allowed me to have staying power,
yeah,
that I haven't been chasing shiny objects and being
mhm,
distracted. I've stayed very consistent around the ball, sports, right? And the power of play, books, anything around education, enlightenment, and raising your game around knowledge and
yeah,
betterment, right? How can I make the human condition better? And that's been my through line, regardless of what's happening in the world and the markets and the economy. I've stayed consistent with that.
yeah. And to your, I think that's great because to your point, like what your work has meant to me, even when we first started, like I got a little bracelet on now because they temperature scanned me for COVID at this building today. But like I used to wear this dream bracelet with the D is the dedication, the responsibility, the education, the positive attitude, and like
Come
all
on
of
now.
that stuff
What's
means
up?
something to me, even like a decade plus later. And humans will always have like the need to know more, the education, to be motivated and inspired to be better. So like everything that you focus on is to me an innate human need. So like um, I don't think that you'll never be out of work unless you unless you're gonna like just choose to hang it up. But like humans need what you have been delivering for well over.
Evergreen. So my things are evergreen. They don't have a shelf life.
Yeah,
It wasn't by design. It was what I was called to do.
yeah,
I understand that now. It wasn't like part of my business plan or whatever. No, it was what I'm called to do. And then people have been pointing it out, and I've been learning over the years. This
yeah,
is an evergreen message. Movement,
yeah,
right? Education and raising and supporting others, right? Encouraging others,
yeah.
like those are fundamental, like you said, innate things we need as human beings, and
Mhm.
they're not going away. And so I think that's what I've been, fortunate to fall backwards into, if you will. But it was also the things that saved me.
Yeah. So then we could go lots of different ways. I remember trying to use a gift that I had when I first met you in order to add to your work and amplify. I don't even remember all the words to it, but I tried to like write a rap that kind of told the story that I heard. And it was so moving for me. Like first time I heard it, like I literally had like tears in my eyes because somebody who wasn't supposed to make it or wasn't supposed to win, it made me proud to know that it's achievable, it's doable, and this person is exceeding expectations so that their hood is proud, so that their, family is proud, so that, their bigger, broader community is proud. So at some point I'll go back into the notebook and find kind of the words, but man, that's nostalgic for me even to think about, you know what I mean?
Well, we can't believe it's achievable until we see ourselves in it.
Yeah.
We have to see an example of ourselves. It doesn't have to be literally the same, but it might be the story. It may be the circumstances. It could literally be someone of color that looks like you, right?
Yeah.
But you have to see yourself in that success
Yeah.
before it feels achievable. And so I think that that's the one thing that I've discovered over all my journeys and all my travels, right? Is that my story of dealing with difficult circumstances, upheaval, uncertainty, abandonment, addiction, disappointment, dysfunction, all those things, sadly, are universal.
Yeah.
And then to be an example of what you can do, how you rise above that with a community of people supporting you, believers, going through your challenges, competing every day, all those things I learned, through this journey. And that's what I continue to share as often as possible. And like I say, I get on my bully pulpit, on behalf of a ball book and betterment daily, dude. That's like, I know that's what I'm called to do.
Yeah. So I know we've got maybe a few more minutes here. Did you show
That was
all
a quick one. Oh no, I got some.
show me?
So
Let's
I
do show
love
and
telling
tell.
stories. So I love telling stories with objects and artifacts. And so I'm proud to be a part of this author series called A Kid's Book About, right? And you'll see my book is behind me, A Kid's Book About Belonging. That's the oversized read out loud version.
Yeah.
But I thought I would share. So imagine, you're faced with this pandemic.
Oh yeah.
And racial issues come up.
I've read that one and seen the play.
That's my man's. So everybody's anxiety started jumping up. But my response to it was empathy, belonging, creating community, a little bit of mindfulness. That's my grandfather.
Nice.
He would always say, be where your feet are. Some gratitude.
Amen to that.
Listen, I count my blessings every single day and bring a little bit of that heat, that creative energy.
That's what we need.
Come on now. And so that's been my response to the current times. Yeah. That's the way that I've come and approached it. Jelani Memory is the person who created that. I saw the play also, which was brilliant because it was a crew out of Oakland, right? But they were all over that actually performed that. I've known Jelani for 23 years. He was my son's first friend that he met when we moved from Philly to Portland, Oregon. And so I'm proud to be a part of that author series. And Jelani is my guy. I've been Jelani's Miss Lane.
Wow.
23 years. So when I look at my life and I look at what I've been doing, I can say I've had effect on people. And it wasn't because, oh, you're going to be something one day. No, he kept coming by the house. Like it was the same thing with me and Miss Lane. I kept coming by their house. And so I think we can't do it alone. The collective is going to win the day. Yep. We're all dealing with some difficult times right now, collectively. But if we rally together, I'm telling you, our collective energy can find a way to rise above the current circumstances or any difficulties. So build your community, right? Stay collegial, right? We are different, we are one, right? And even more so, right? Keep raising your game. Keep finding a way all day, every day.
Every day. Wow. Where can people find that book, your website, like everything about what Kevin Carroll's doing right now?
If you just go to KC Katalyst with the K, KCKATALYST.com. That's how you find me. You'll find all my social stuff, all my socials, KC Katalyst at KC Katalyst. It's easy to find me, but even more so, just go to B. B got the cat phone. He can reach me. He knows how to get to me. But
Yeah,
I just appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate how you're being, creating a platform for stories to encourage BIPOC young folks out there, right? I think it's really important, and, good on you. And I'm not surprised you're doing it, because I know what you're about, and I know what's at your core, and you're about uplifting other people. So keep going, brother. Keep going.
man, I remember the first words. Let me try to get it off. Kevin Carroll, born in the turmoil, 1958, never stayed in a place longer than a little while. Didn't have much growing up as a child. Food stamps, hand-me-downs, couple smiles, lot of frowns. 2 parents, 2 addicts, steady meals, didn't have it. Bed and a treat, and the pillows never automatic. Didn't really realize how bad he had it. What he didn't have, it didn't register as tragic. Till one day, he learned something about another way. Mama Lane said, Kevin, you can come and stay. That moment there birthed the dawn of another day. Little dreamer turned into a book reader turned into a scholar now globetrotting, making dollars, author, speaker, catalyst, and father. I think it's something like that, man. But
Stop it. He's spitting a little bit, brother. Listen, what a fitting way to end our conversation with
flowers,
some
man.
spoken word from you. And our history and watching you grow up and grow into the man you are. I'm so proud of you, but I'm anxiously awaiting your arrival for what's next. I know you hatching plans. I know how you are. And
Yeah,
I know that this is only the beginning of what you're going to do. And just keep going. And I'm thrilled to see the man you are. I really am. And I'm anxious and excited to see the game changer you gonna be.
yeah. Same on this side, man. Keep going. Be good to yourself. Stay safe and sane up there in Portland. Much love to your family. Happy Friday. And final word for the people. Anything you want to say to them?
What? Look, I'm a big believer in magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
The unseen, not understood easily. So
Yeah.
whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it.
Mm.
Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Be bold, be brave, keep going. Godspeed, peace, and play.
Amen. Amen. That's a great way to end it. Kevin Carroll, appreciate you for coming
My
through the
man,
room. Have a great weekend, my brother, and we will catch up very, very soon.
looking forward to it. Be well, man.
All right. See ya.